Megan's on holiday, which means Basti Knight, top chef at the Crazy Bastard Kitchen, has been drafted in to offer his unique take on the German news. On this week's show, Konrad is down as Germany's election campaign is sidetracked into inane bollocks. This prompts Basti to ask some existential questions. Cheers.
News.
And with those dulcet tones, I am introducing you to the latest episode of Basti's Beercan. It's not Megan's Megacan this week, it's Basti's Beercan because Megan is on Crete. Hello, Megan. And in her place, we have Basti, top chef at the Crazy Bastard Kitchen in Neukölln. Hello, Basti.
Good evening, my friend.
How's it going at the shop?
Really great. Had a day off today, and I thought, what better way to spend my day off than with my darling little dog Larry and my brother, my best friend. What did he have planned for us? Well, he drove me to a shitty fucking power station in Potsdam.
You enjoyed it. It was a lovely day. We sat there in the rain and took pictures of the side of a power station.
It turned out it was the wrong power station. Well, it was the right one, but you weren't happy with this power station, were you?
No, I didn't like it. Anyway, that's not the point. When I asked, how's it going at the shop, I was hoping for, what's on the menu, what kind of things can I go, what is it a success? I know you've opened a new one since we spoke last.
Yes, we're open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, open from 12 until 10, and it's very tough, being there 7 days a week. So when I do get a day off, I like to, really make the most of it.
Right.
And it was great. It was, let's stop talking about the power station thing. We're here, we're happy. That's in the past. What's on the menu? This week we're doing international burgers. Got a brand new burger. It's a Korean burger. It's got kimchi made by a local Vietnamese shop. They make delicious fermented kimchi. That's on the burger with I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, a gochujang sort of sweet chili sauce. It's absolutely incredible. I ate one about half an hour ago. I feel brilliant. I feel energized. Those fermented foods, of course, they have the good bacteria and stuff. Great for the gastro, for the intestinal qualities. Do you like fermented food?
Yes, I love it.
You'd like to list a few of your favourite fermented foods?
Gherkins?
Well, they're pickled.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
So
it's similar.
Fermentation is, we're about to drink something fermented, aren't we? Alcohol is the fermentation of sugars.
Right.
Sauerkraut, of course, is Germany's #1 fermented food.
Yeah, I like sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And I like that Rotkohlkraut as well.
Yeah, Christmas.
Next to a schnitzel.
And next week we've got Portuguese food, some fantastic dishes from Portugal. One of my chefs is Portuguese. Then the following week, tacos, Mexican tacos. And we have a new lunch menu, which we've got this fantastic Mexican chef now who does the lunch menu. And so we have huevos rancheros, quesadillas, vegan and meat versions. And yes, come on down, kids. And all the hot sauce on the table. You can try every single Crazy Bastard sauce, the best hot sauce in the world.
And on Weserstrasse, you're a bit of a character now, aren't you?
Oh!
When you walk down the road, do people recognise you?
We recognise each other. It's a lovely, the advice I'd give to anyone entering business is make friends with the other businesses, Even if you open a restaurant and there's another restaurant, it's a good thing. The more restaurants there are in a certain area, or the more places to eat, cafes, bars, restaurants, the more people will flock to that area as it becomes a hotspot for, drinking, eating. And, it's a sort of micro economy as well, isn't it? I spend my money in the local coffee shop and they have their dinner at our place. And, if you need to borrow, I don't know, some carrots or something, you can ask them for some carrots. And if they need to borrow a power drill, you can lend them a power drill, stuff like that.
Yeah, so a nice sort of neighbourhood charm.
Yes.
Neighbourhood.
Yeah, it really is. It really is nice.
Okay, anyway.
Shout out to Weserstrasse, Big Ben, Sean, Chris, Christina, Olga, Aggie, oh God, who else? Everyone.
What have you got bought for us to drink this week, Basti?
Right, what we've got here is a can of Lupsa. Lupsa is a delicious beer, and it's in my opinion, it's far too cheap. You can get a can of Lupsa from Lidl for about 59 cents.
59 cents?
Yeah, and it really should be up there with your Becks, your Pilsner Urquell, your Budweisers, your Rothhauses, which are all in the sort of 90 to €1 bracket. But it's not for some reason, but it is absolutely fantastic. It's from Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, as I said. If you've ever been to Fusion Festival, that's the beer that they serve there.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to this then. Cheers.
Cheers.
Great. Okay.
Do you like the beer, Vad?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Doesn't hit you quite as the way that a mega can does when I'm normally recording this. Like normally there's like this moment when my face stretches out, like I feel refreshed, but like something is sort of suddenly drumming through my head.
Good for you.
Whereas now I'm just drinking a beer. Okay.
I should have brought more, shouldn't I? I should have brought like a 6-pack.
No, we're not going to go on for that long. Jesus, there's not that much news. So, what do you know about there's going on at the moment? Did you know that there is an election campaign happening at the moment in Germany, country where you live?
I did not know that. No, I honestly did not know that.
There's an election happening in September.
Where are all the billboards?
They come out like about a month before, 2 months before.
Okay,
you'll see them already.
So it's not like Christmas where it starts in October.
No. But
are there rules?
Rules for what?
Political campaigning. Are you allowed to, for example, put a poster up 3 months before an election?
Well, you have a launch time, but I think there's a specific space of time where you're allowed to hang up the posters on every lamppost that you see.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is it'd be mayhem if there weren't rules.
No, I think there are rules. Yeah, there's probably like 2 months. I don't know what the actual rule is, and also it is each party's responsibility to take their own posters down afterwards.
Right.
You have to go around and get them all back. You can't just leave that to the waste disposal services. Well, talking about posters, the CDU released their posters this week, in fact. And their campaign slogan, which is Deutschland gemeinsam machen, is the
Make Germany together. That's sort of indicating, I mean, there's suggestions of immigrants and diversity in there. Is that what I'm hearing? They're trying to they're suggesting that Germany isn't gemeinsam right now.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that's the association that you had, because that's the association I had as well. As soon as you say gemeinsam, it means like inclusivity. That's what it says to me. It means like you want to include every part of society and get them voted for CDU. But the campaign poster, which had people from different walks of life, did not include a single person of colour on their entire campaign poster.
Dear.
They had white babies, white women, white men with beards, white men without beards,
bald man.
I can't remember if there was a bald man or not, but
maybe a white man with dreadlocks. God, I hope they didn't have one of them. Jesus.
No, there was no cultural appropriation, but there was like a monocultural message coming from the CDU's posters, which I thought was quite surprising. You thought that would be the first thing that most parties would do now, is have like a diverse poster. I mean, it's a no-brainer surely to want to get people of different cultures and backgrounds to vote for your party, but apparently the CDU is determined to have mainly white people voting for them, and
that's not a mistake though, is it?
No,
there's no way that they have come up with this slogan and this campaign and accidentally made a poster with only white people.
Yeah.
What they're doing there is saying, white people unite.
Possibly, yes.
I'm not voting for them.
Okay, good.
You know who I'm voting for, don't you? You already know.
Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell the listeners of...
Gregor Gysi.
Oh, he's your MP.
He's my MP. You've got to, read his speeches, watch his YouTubes. My God, follow him on Facebook. This man cares.
Do you know who the CDU's election candidate is? The man who is almost certainly going to be the next Chancellor of Germany, judging by the opinion polls.
Not my Chancellor.
He's called...
He won't be... My Chancellor's Gregor Gysi.
Still, after all these years.
What's his name?
Armin Laschet. And he's like... Basically, the whole week has been very depressing for me, because the election campaign has basically boiled down this week to two issues. One of them is, how does Armin Laschet respond to the right of his own party, specifically a man called Hans-Georg Maaßen, the former head of the Domestic Intelligence Agency, the Verfassungsschutz. Are you still awake?
Yeah. No. Come on.
Hans-Georg Maaßen is this... he's got, like, little glasses and, like, hair. And he keeps causing problems. He's like he's the populist. Every party has their own, like, rogue figure who they don't really want to kick out of the party because they always get in the news, but they keep saying things that no normal politician would say. So this week, Hans-Georg Maaßen, he's on the right of the CDU. He said that he thinks that the Tagesschau, which is the Tagesschau is like the main flagship on public broadcaster ARD. He said it's so left wing that what they should do is have background checks on the journalists to make sure they're not associated with extreme leftist people. Can you imagine that?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is exactly what everyone said. For the next 3 days, all that everyone talked about was Hans-Georg Maaßen and how ridiculous that is. And of course, that's what he wanted. 3 days later, after he'd been in the news for 3 days and everyone's condemning him and demanding he resign, he comes out with another tweet and he says, actually, I didn't really mean it. Of course I don't. I think we should have background checks on journalists because that would be like Stalinism. And that's not what he said, but that's obvious. And then he kind of partially walked it back. But by then, he'd already, been in the news. And that's how Donald Trump became president, basically. I'm not saying Maaßen is going to become president, because he's not. But that's what you do. You just say something outrageous and ridiculous, and everyone goes on about it. And then you slightly walk it back and say, oh, I misunderstood. You misunderstood. And this is like a couple of days later. And it's very depressing, because there are other things that need to be talked about in the campaign. And now Armin Laschet has been like, they keep asking him, what do you think of Maaßen? Should you kick him out of the party? And he's like being like wishy-washy about it and saying, I don't care, I don't think he should be kicked out of the party, I disagree with him, but that is, thing, blah, 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 blah. It's all like, it was just like this. He managed to answer a question about Hans-Georg Maaßen without mentioning Hans-Georg Maaßen's name.
Yeah.
Journalism is very important in a democracy, blah, 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 and it's like, just like puke coming out. And then the other election issue this whole week.
Well, hang on, we're not finished. Can I just... Okay. Do you want me to say something about the Tagesschau thing?
Yes, please. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So what I love is right now there's a football tournament going on. I've not really been watching it. I'm always in the kitchen and that, and I've lost a bit of interest for football as you get older, and the footballers playing the game are a lot younger than you. I don't know, I don't feel the same connection as maybe I did. But at half time they show the news. And if you're from the UK, of course, where most football has been privatised, or it's on paid for, you have to pay to watch it. They're never going to show the news at halftime. They show adverts, and a bit of analysis. But that's how they pay. They pay billions to show Premier League, so they need to show adverts. What's great about state-funded, taxpayer-funded TV stations is that they are obliged to inform the people. They're obliged to show the news at half time.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. You know, we've got all these people watching the football, and then at half time you've got the news. They get to be informed about what's going on. And also the accusation that, you know, news shows might be sort of left-leaning, I think is a response by the right, because the right has to lie, you know, about stuff in order to promote its agenda. And so when a news show just has to report about the facts, of course the right-leaning parties aren't going to like it, are they? Because it's never going to support their agenda, which is built on exaggerations, on mistruths in order to get votes. So just want to say, you know, yes, the TV license in Germany, it's a lot of money. If you are paying it and you think you never use it, maybe you don't use it, but nevertheless you're giving money to news sources, which is important, because do you want a country like America where all the news stations are privatized?
Well, yeah.
So then you've got stuff like Fox News, and then you've got CNN, and they just decide whether they're Democrats or Republicans. They decide how they're going to present the news.
Well, it's because in America that Ronald Reagan, he got rid of the impartiality rule, which still exists in most European countries.
Exactly. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's more to democracy than just voting every 4 years. Part of democracy is an informed public.
Yes.
And that is what when you are paying your license fee, you're actually paying for a pillar of the democratic order.
Exactly. Yes.
To remain standing.
You're not just paying for blood. And then look at the channels that aren't funny. They show fucking Deutschland sucht den Superstar, you know, and Big Brother.
Yeah.
That's in the UK. I mean, can you imagine a world without the Antiques Roadshow, Songs of Praise, Country File? I could go on, Ben. You know?
The Archers.
Yeah, but nevertheless,
other rural
being obliged to provide a certain amount of content of every different type means that you don't just get reality bullshits.
So that's Hans-Georg Maassen, who is playing by the populist playbook. And a lot of CDU people would like to kick him out now, but they're not going to kick him out. And all the parties actually have a figure like him that is like, he's like slightly too extreme. And what they all have in common, all these figures, is they're all a bit against anti-immigrant. Even the ones in the Linke and the ones in the SPD, and I was thinking of in the SPD, I'm thinking of Thilo Sarrazin, and they had this huge thing, you might remember, like 10 years ago, about his book, and he kept going on about how Turkish people were lowering the IQ in Germany. You know, it's always the same. It's always the same, like, tedious stuff. They're pushing the so-called Overton window is to include more racism. Is the upshot of it all. And they are succeeding, because now people feel like they can say racist stuff, and racist violence continues to happen more and more. Anyway, do you want to know about the other bit of news?
Do I have a choice? Yeah, of course I do. I love listening to your voice. Yeah. You've got a beautiful timbre.
So do you know who the Green Party candidate is? The closest rival to Armin Laschet is a woman called Annalena Baerbock.
Yeah, I know her.
She was chosen as the Green Party candidate earlier this year, and essentially...
Are they still relevant?
They're more relevant than ever. They are currently polling in second place.
Oh, well, my bad. I thought that parties like the Green Party were now sort of being assimilated, that their policies were being taken on by the bigger parties.
Yeah, not in Germany. In Germany, it's moving the other way. Like, they're trying to absorb the voters that would normally vote for the CDU. The Greens are trying to absorb them by slightly moving themselves more into the centre and presenting themselves as a party that the middle classes could vote for. And they did this very successfully until a couple of weeks ago, because now the media, and especially like Die Welt and the Bild, and the Tagesspiegel in Berlin have basically organised a massive pile-on over Annalena Baerbock's various things that they just keep unpicking little bits and bobs out of her life and saying, oh, she lied on her CV, oh, there's a whole new thing now about her book. She wrote a book that came out, and she obviously wrote it very quickly with a ghostwriter, and they found lots of bits that she copy and pasted out of the internet, or her ghostwriter.
Oh dear.
And this is all that's been in the news about the Greens for the last 2 weeks, about how she's copying little bits about this stupid book that no one's ever going to read anyway, and not even I'm going to read this book.
Not even you, and you read books, man. Listeners, you should see the room I'm in. There's books everywhere.
And it's like this book, no one would have read it anyway. But then there's some guy in Austria.
There's books on top of books.
Went through
and
it.
There's books obscuring other books. There's books behind books.
And the first things that he came up with, there's books behind books. And the first thing that he came up with, this guy in Austria, was, I found that she copied out the list of countries that joined the European Union in a certain year, which was like, the certain Balkan countries, whatever. So he made a list, and he said, I realized that she copied that out of the Spiegel, or one of her assistants copied it out of the Spiegel, and it was like, oh my god, big bloody deal, it's just a book, it's just a list of countries, it doesn't really matter, but yet. And now they're talking about her when she did a PhD, she got like a grant to do her PhD, and they added up how much money this cost, from the Heinrich Böll Stiftung, which is like this Green Party think tank sort of foundation thing, and that's all that this whole bloody election campaign has been about. And I don't know, and this is all that's been on the news in the Tagesschau. That all bloody for 2 weeks is about whether or not she copied a few words. And I think it's like, obviously it's bad that she might have copied a few words, but it's not as bad as, for example, a village in Canada burning to the ground because it's over 50 degrees there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're going to vote, look to those who talk about positive things. Look to those who talk about positive change. As soon as a politician talks about, they're doing this, they're doing that, this is shite, that is shite. No, they win votes through painting a negative picture and through making other people look bad. Vote for the ones that aren't doing that.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. Is that what you mean?
Yes, like, I don't want to, because there's a politician called Gregor Gysi, right? And like, he just talks about what needs to be done to improve things. It's a message of positivity for the people.
Well, do you know?
Whereas what right wing politicians, Trump or CDU is attack the others, attack and question the nationality of Barack Obama. That's ridiculous, but they do. People listen to that.
Yeah, and journalists write about it because it's easy to write about.
Immigration, attack immigrants, because it will win votes of people who are just ignorant, and it's really sad.
Well, do you know, here's an example of a policy that would improve people's lives and that in fact people are in favour of. We were driving along the Autobahn, and as you know, famously, Germany is the only country in the whole of Europe that has no speed limit on the Autobahn.
Well, on some parts of it.
Some parts of it, yeah. But
a lot of, the Autobahns that we were on, inner city Autobahns, they generally do have a speed limit.
Yeah, that is true. But there is a huge debate in Germany about whether or not there should be a basic speed limit on all the Autobahns. The number that is being suggested is 130 kilometers per hour.
Too slow.
Well, here's the thing.
Too slow.
Everyone, like everyone knows that this makes sense to bring in on the Autobahn For a start, it would save like millions of tons of CO2 a year.
Yeah, of course, because you're over revving your engine, and there's far too much petrol being used. The car is being pushed to its limits. Yeah, you're right. I take it back. It's not too slow. It's correct.
Not only that, many people's lives would be saved because there'd be fewer accidents. And
how many?
A few. I haven't got the numbers right, but they even did this.
Insects. All those insects are getting smashed by windscreens. If only the cars were going a little bit slower, they could maybe sort of deflect off the windscreen. You know,
they
bounce
still
off
have
it.
a chance to survive.
Yeah.
If they just caught a glancing blow.
I mean, people are probably thinking, "Oh, insects. I don't like insects." Okay, then what about this? Bees. Yeah. Care about them. Think of all the bees getting smashed.
Well, may I quote to you a tweet from the UN?
I love a tweet from the UN.
So we are now at about
must be hard for them to tweet because they've got to all agree on the tweet.
It takes ages. Well, they managed to squeeze out a few tweets the other day.
Tweet one out.
And they were talking about the amount of global warming that we are headed for. At the moment, we're about 1.2 degrees of global warming. At the moment, over this is on 1990 levels, I believe. If we have an increase, and as you know, the UN target is 1.5 degrees. That's everyone's target is trying to go for. There's already probably no chance that we're going to meet that target. So what we're looking at is something like 2 degrees or 3 degrees. Now, if we hit 3 degrees, we were 41% of mammals will lose half their habitat at 3 degrees over. And at 3 degrees, the average length of a drought will be 10 months rather than 2 months, which is what it is now. And we would have a 63% possibility of an ice-free Arctic summer in a particular year at 3 degrees. No ice in the Arctic. That causes feedback loops. That means it'll start getting hotter and there'll be unpredictable weather patterns, and we'll start having heat waves in places like Canada.
Yeah.
Where a whole village that recorded the hottest ever temperature in Canada just burnt down the next day. And I don't know.
Why don't you? Have you ever thought about doing something else? Like you've been doing this journalism thing for a long time. You're very good at it. Could you not go into I don't know, journalism, book reviews? You love books. Review books.
Why do you think I should do book reviews?
Because you're filling your mind with all of this negative, bad stuff.
Well, it fills my mind because it feels like it's important, and yet we're talking about whether Annalena Baerbock is copying bits out of her book, which no one would have read anyway. And it seems so pointless.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to. There's one other thing I want to say.
If you reviewed a book, which no one's going to read her book, no one's going to read the review that you write about her book. So take it back.
64% of people in Germany in a survey said that they would be in favour of 130 kilometers per hour speed limit on the autobahn. That's a majority. That's a clear majority. But the transport minister of Germany, who is a man called Andreas Scheuer, he said it would be completely illogical for there to be a speed limit of any kind in Germany. I just want to make clear to you how ridiculous and absurd and utterly depressing the level of political debate is in this country. And we're not even in another country. I mean,
No, that is interesting because I think a lot of people don't know about these things. So it's good that you bring this stuff up.
So even things that the majority of people want can't be done. And the Green Party obviously wants 130, I think they said 130 kilometers per hour. In fact, Deutsche Umwelthilfe, the environmental group, said 120 would be better, and 30 kilometers in any built-up area, like in any town or city, 30 kilometers an hour. At the moment, it's 50.
Yeah, there's a few roads around here that have dropped down to 30. Sonnenallee has like a lot of bits of it are 30, and as a driver, I drive only when I really need to. Going at 30 kilometers an hour, it feels slow. Yeah, but this evening when I drove here, the roads are very empty, and I drove 30, and I really enjoyed it. It's relaxing, and you feel safe. It doesn't feel hectic. But unfortunately, it's more when the roads are busier. If other cars are not doing 30, you feel pressured to do 40, you know? If all the other cars are doing 40, and you know you're supposed to do 30, and you go down to 30, you just feel this tension in the air.
Yeah, because everyone's like slowing down and speeding up all the time.
Yeah, and people are overtaking you because they think you're being too slow. Yeah, but then, you know, having said that, like, I've had a speeding ticket once for going down Harterstrasse, and I was doing, I think, 34, and it was like 20 euro fine. I just thought, well, that's not worth 20 euro, is it?
No, that was quite an overzealous speeding ticket, man. Who gave you the speeding ticket? Was it?
Well, it's probably a camera, isn't it?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you know, that's unfortunately how it is. You have to have random speed cameras and find people in order for people to obey.
Yeah.
You know.
But it would just improve the quality of life for everyone in the city anyway, because it would be quieter, and
yeah, there's too many cars,
and people wouldn't keep crashing.
It's now got to. I mean, so at the end of my shift, if I finish work at midnight or something, it might have been working for 10 hours. My legs are killing me. I'm knackered, and my car's outside the shop. It's very tempting. You know, I would love to just drive home. You know, even though I know I don't really need to. It's only like a 10 or 15 minute walk home, but I can't drive home because there's no parking spaces, and it's probably a good thing. But does feel that the car situation in Berlin is getting ridiculous, man. There's nowhere to park. There's more and more cars every year, and
yeah. Do you know how many more cars are in Berlin?
I think you told me. I think it's 30,000 a year.
No, it's not that many.
Oh.
It's about 8,000 new cars a year are registered in Berlin. Last year was the only year in the last 30 years that the Berlin population didn't grow.
Really?
Because of the coronavirus.
Probably because of Corona, yeah. Yeah, so that...
In normal years, it's grown by up to 30,000, 40,000 people a year in many years. But it's growing very fast. Yeah. Well, there's a bit of news. That's really all I wanted to talk about. Just how much the election campaign is depressing me, and about things that, like, you just think that this time, you know, maybe we could have one little thing that could change to make something slightly better, for have a slightly better quality of life, and then no, we can't, because all the newspapers in Germany and the Tagesschau, all they ever want to talk about is inane bullshit, and not about the fact that the earth is dying. Yeah. So maybe I should just become a book reviewer instead.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry to be so flippant, and I wish I could care more. I think it's hard for people that aren't immersed in the news as you are. The news is your job. You know, when you're working and you're fully focused on your work, which has nothing to do with the news, it is hard to care. So, you know, please, Ben, you've got to be aware that, you know, some like bus driver or some labourer or some cleaning lady working her arse off to feed her kids maybe doesn't have so much time to think about these things. So it's good that you are. Don't let it get you down, though.
No, it's fine, yeah.
It's not fine, but it's also important that for your own mental health, you know, to have a laugh, watch a bit of Partridge, watch the snooker, read your books, even if it's one that you've already read.
Well, I did. I mean, I've been watching the football actually. I mean, that's the problem when you watch football in Germany. It's like an escapism thing. For 45 minutes, you've escaped from the daily misery because you're like immersed in all the funny little. I really enjoy following all the funny little dramas that happen on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then half time happens, and what happens? The bloody news comes on,
which is great.
And then I have to watch the bloody Tagesschau doing stupid stories,
and
annoying me again. So I prefer actually watching it on the BBC when it's just, you know, Gary Lineker and people just talking
about the game.
Yeah, it's like that kind of maintains the escapism for a bit longer.
Yeah, that's true.
Bridges over the 15 minutes, and then you can go back to being depressed after the 90 minutes are up.
Yeah,
and whichever team you support won or didn't win, or you know. Anyway, that is all we have time for. Thank you very much for coming on as a special guest, as Megan's replacement, substitute teacher, so to speak.
Yeah, I hope it was all right. Both a bit knackered, aren't we?
Well, you know.
I think it was all right. It's always better when you listen to it again. But it didn't have quite that sort of, as the French would say, I don't know what, that Megan brings, you know. That joie de vivre. She's also very vocal. She has a presence. She fills the room. She's theatrical. She's a star. She's a bright, shining star. And we're two little red dwarfs.
Orbiting
and slowly fading away. No, come on.
Okay.
Come on, England. You could beat them.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. You are.
Thanks for bringing the Lupta pills.
Yeah.
We make a point of visiting the town of Lups in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern and sampling more of their
tinnies,
amber nectar. Right.
Ta-ra.
Thank you. Bye.